Hey YouTubers, welcome to Planet Phobia. In today's video we will be reviewing The Sadness. This one was requested by a subscriber. Wow, if you haven't seen this one yet, viewer discretion advised. It is a sadistic journey into gore and horror. I went into this review expecting to see a typical zombie movie, but by the end that is definitely not what happened. Stick around while we break down this macabre horrorscape of a movie. Alright fellow sickos, The Sadness is a Taiwanese horror movie released in 2021 with a runtime of 1 hour and 39 minutes and it is rated R. This film opens with a couple, Jim and Kat, lying in bed. Pretty normal start, the two are cuddling and have an argument about going on vacation. But Jim has to work. Without too much trouble, the two make up and Jim drops Kat off to her job in the city. On the way there, they pass a bloody scene on the side of the road. Vehicles are pulled off to the side, emergency personnel are on site, the cops are trying to restrain people, and there are gurneys carrying people covered in blood-soaked sheets. As a zombie fan with the apocalypse always in the back of my mind, this is a bit of a red flag. If it was me, I would turn the scooter back around and not drop my girlfriend off in the middle of the city. But with that being said, Jim could have thought it was just a car accident. After this, Jim makes it back home and talks with his neighbor. As Jim stands on his balcony, he notices an old woman on another roof wearing a white hospital gown covered in blood. However, he pays little attention to this and heads to a local shop for lunch. This is where the descent into madness kicks off properly, as the old woman makes her way into the shop and just stands there and stares. So let's discuss the glaring question I have about this movie. How does the infection spread? When you watch, you'll see what I mean. The old lady appears to spit into a man's face as he attempts to see if she is alright. After this, she begins attacking customers, and the man she spat at turns and begins doing the same. So your first impression is that it was passed by the spit. However, that is never confirmed. The movie is a little bit of a slow burn up until now, but after this scene, the movie is off and running. We see the first truly horrific scene as a man has burning grease dumped over his head and his searing flesh is ripped from his face. It definitely grabs your attention and foreshadows the violence to come. As we continue, Kat is seen on a train. As she is quietly reading, a middle-aged man strikes up a conversation and tells her she is beautiful. Every woman's dream come true. Or not. She tells him to back off, and the camera pans to a man wearing sunglasses, but you can make out the red around his eyes. He is infected, and soon all hell breaks loose on the train. So once again, it is hard to say how this infection is being spread, but nonetheless, it is being spread. The man Kat was talking to turns and joins in on the sadistic behavior. I think this is a good place to talk about the symptoms of this disease. It's akin to a rage disease more than an outright zombie plague. It's very important to know these zombies are intelligent, can still communicate, use weapons, and can run. For the zombie connoisseur, this may throw you off, having questions about how the disease is spread, and also the fact that the zombies are intelligent. Basically, they are the same as they were, except they start going ham and acting like it's the night of the purge. Kat meets up with another character we meet on the train named Molly. Poor Molly. She gets stabbed in the eye with an umbrella by who I'm going to refer to as the crazy train guy. Somehow she survives, and with the help of Kat, they escape the train and try to find their way to the hospital, with crazy train guy vowing to meet up with them. The movie cuts back to Jim. He has made it out of the shop, and after losing a couple fingers while fighting his neighbor, he heads out to find Kat. As this is happening, we hear a radio broadcast that tries to shed some light on what the hell is going on. The voice talks about civil unrest, and he questions if a hallucinating drug has become airborne. We next see a military general and the president addressing the nation live on TV. Strangely, during mid-sentence, the general turns. His eyes go black and the madness overtakes him. In another gory scene, he takes a grenade, shoves it into the president's mouth, and boom, his head blows up on live TV. That should help settle the masses. Now we see that Kat and Molly have made it to the hospital with the help of an inept security guard. Soon, keeping to his promise, the crazy train guy shows up with an axe and kills a police officer. The following sequence might be the most unhinged out of the whole movie. Pure chaos ensues. Another really weird aspect about this movie is the sexual stuff. I have never seen a zombie movie where this is a goal of the infected. I mean, usually they just want your brains, but in this movie, let's just say they're looking for something else also. With that being said, poor Molly is reintroduced to Crazy Train Guy. Molly has her gaping eye wound, let's just say violated by Crazy Train Guy. Apparently this turns her and she goes ape on the security guard with a bone saw. She says she had a hard time making friends, and using the bone saw on this man's body is her way of giving kisses. Aw, how sweet. And there is also a random zombie orgy taking place in the hallway. Again, this is another first for me. Don't know what to think about that, but it does add to the overall creep factor of this film. Eventually, Kat shows up and finally takes out Crazy Train Guy, who has been tracking her since back at the train. Good riddance. Next, she is taken prisoner by a doctor, a virologist to be more precise. She is handcuffed to the wall and is doused in a chemical bath to remove the infectious tissue covering her body. Here we try to get some insight on the virus known as Alvin. All we really learn is that the doctor is batshit crazy and has been injecting babies with the virus to try to create a vaccine. This does not work, and he ruthlessly puts down the poor babies. Kat is also given an injection containing the virus. From what we can gather from the doctor, it appears some people might just be immune while others aren't. Unfortunately, that's about the best explanation we get. The doctor ends up turning after his bloody stump of a leg gets puked into. So we've seen the infection pass by spitting and puking. Maybe it sometimes is passed through bodily fluids, not completely sure. As this movie comes to its gory end, Jim finally makes his way to Kat at the hospital. By the look in Jim's eyes, it's too late and he has turned. He takes out the doctor and then turns his attention to Kat, who has locked herself behind a gate. They share a few words and Jim leans against the gate, staring off into oblivion as blood gushes from his neck. Kat walks up the stairs and goes out onto the hospital roof. Helicopters and gunshots can be heard. This is how the movie ends, and we are left to wonder the fate of Kat. Okay, for my final thoughts on this movie. First, I'd like to say thank you to Quad Nomen Mihi Est for the recommendation. Please leave your recommendations in the comments and I'll do my best to review the movies you're interested in. So I'll start by saying this isn't my favorite zombie movie. I really like to know how an infection is caused and how it spreads. Also, it may be a bit of a stretch to call these monsters zombies. Yes, they share some of the same characteristics, but it's almost more like having rabies or some form of rage sickness. It goes against the grain watching them talk and even use guns. With that being said, if you're into horror and pure sadistic violence, then this movie is for you. At an hour and a half long, the movie doesn't waste your time. After about 15 minutes, the film gets going and stays that way till the final credits. It is a blood-soaked, action-packed gore fest. Now, the movie is from Taiwan and you'll need to turn on closed captioning. I know this can be a turn-off for some, but it's really not that bad. Finally, let me know what you think of this movie. How many of you have watched it? Would you call it a zombie movie or something different? Let me know in the comments. If you're still watching, thank you. Why not check out my other content and hit that subscribe button?
I like to put stuff online.